Today is April 17th, and sound the alarms because there's snow on the ground in Syracuse. Hey, Mother Nature's just trying to keep us in the winter mindset because the Crunch might be playing hockey in May. Welcome into sports. I'm John Eads. Syracuse is on a heater, folks. 6 wins in its last 8 tries, and they stayed hot tonight against the Toronto Marlies. So Kevin watched his father and some former Dolphin squads win these championships back in 2004, 6, and 7. Fast forward a decade later, it's 2021, and Kevin and his father teamed up on the same Dolphin squad to bring home Lemoyne's latest men's lacrosse national championship. Joe Girard takes it over the timeline, stops, pops, swish. Now UNC would reclaim the lead, and then Caleb Love. Mwah. And it is right here, Jalen Wilson to Oshai Abaji. Bottoms, Jayhawks flocking early on. Now, while the Crunch might be ending the season on a high note, the Mets are beginning their season on a low note. And I'm not a big musical instrument guy, just ask my 4th grade recorder teacher, but if the start to the 2022 campaign were a music note for Syracuse, it would be what they call an A0. Now, man-up situation early in the third. Click, click, boom from Tucker Dordevic. Hello, and welcome into a special NCC News NFL Draft preview segment. Along with Josh Golden, I'm John Eads. So glad to be with you. Exciting times, Josh. NFL Draft coming up in 1 week. Teams looking to bolster their roster. And as our resident Bills expert, I got to ask you, do the Bills pick at 25? Now, Syracuse can win with a field goal. Garrett Schrader wants the touchdown, though. He throws up a prayer. Damian Alford says, amen. So hopefully that inspired you to get out, get some shots up at the park, and lucky for you, we're in store for a spectacular day tomorrow. Josh Golden will fill you in with one more look at our weather after the break. Hey, Josh, that's right. 3 straight wins for Syracuse and also a chance at back-to-back road wins for the first time all season for the Orange. The most recent win on the road came in Raleigh when the Orange beat NC State 89-82, marked the 3rd straight game that SU scored at least 89 points. Now, SU's on the road to take on a Boston College team tonight that they haven't lost to in about 4 years, but that last loss did come in Chestnut Hill.
What's the excitement level around the corner tonight?
Very excited. I think this is the best team that Dino Babers has had at Syracuse. The amount of players that they brought in the transfer portal, the guys they bring back from last year, 17 of 22 starters. Everybody's really excited to see this team hit the field for the first time. They've also brought in a new offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach to revolutionize this offense, which I think plagued the Orange last season. So a lot of excitement around this program. A lot of people think they're poised for a big year. Definitely one of the more busy sports weekends of the year, but busy is good, right? Welcome into sports. I'm John Eads. I know everyone has the Final Four in their minds after tonight's games, but we can't get there just yet. A decision was made yesterday that could prevent Syracuse from reaching the national semifinal next season. Cole Swider announced his intentions to go pro and forego his 5th year of eligibility at SU. The forward suited up in blue and orange for 1 season after transferring in from Villanova. The Rhode Island product averaged 14 points and about 7 rebounds in the 2021-22 campaign. When it comes to any father and son coaching duo, the $1 million question is when you come out of the gate and off the practice field, how do they manage the relationship? Well, Kevin and Coach Sheehan say it's not that hard to manage. How do you fill the massive hole that is Tyreek Hill if you're the Chiefs? I don't know.
Can't do it with just one guy.
They're going to try to do it next week, though. NFL Draft coming up next Thursday. That's all for Josh Golden and myself. This has been the NCC News NFL Draft Preview Show. We'll have continued coverage through next week. There are a lot of great candidates for the best sports weekend of the year, but this one might take the cake. Welcome into sports. I'm John Eads. Let's start on the lacrosse field, where number 4 Syracuse women's lacrosse hope to snag a marquee win over number 1 North Carolina. As fate would have it, the last time SU beat the nation's top team was back in 2014. And who do they play? The squad wearing Carolina blue. Welcome to sports. I'm John Eads. Well, the Gary Gate era of Syracuse lacrosse got off to an excellent start last week against Holy Cross. The Orange demolished the Crusaders by 23 goals in their season opener. But things were just a little bit tougher this time around. SU played host to number 1 Maryland in the Loud House, hoping to pick up a signature win. But it just wasn't meant to be this afternoon. Gary Gate before the game getting recognized alongside his wife and brother Paul. His number 22 jersey ascending into the rafters, but that's as good as things would get for Syracuse because early on in the contest, this Maryland offense was on fire. Logan Wisnauskas with the sidearm rip, beating Bobby Gavin. 3-0 Maryland early. It would be 4-0 at the end of the first quarter. Tucker Dordevic trying to spark a comeback for Syracuse. Shake, bake, submarine score. His 6th goal of the season cut the lead down to 3, but he would get no help alongside him. Syracuse scored 19 first-half goals against Holy Cross last week, just 6 this week, and Maryland Maryland just kept pouring it on as Jonathan Donville tallies the game-winning goal on a step-down ripper as Maryland takes down Syracuse 14-10 on 5 fourth-quarter goals. Duke and North Carolina in the Final Four. Does it get any better than that? First ever matchup between the Tobacco Road rivals in the NCAA tournament, and it certainly lived up to the hype. Another team that's been a mainstay in the Final Four is Duke men's lacrosse, but the number 10 Blue Devils have showed some signs of struggle this season. And considering the fact that Syracuse is 0-4 against ranked teams this year, I think it's safe to say the Orange were licking their lips and ready to pounce on a big opportunity this weekend. Petramala and Gate taking the field, looking for their first ACC and ranked win together. Mateo Corsi gets the first goal for Syracuse 4 minutes into the first quarter, third goal of the season for him. And then Tucker Dordovic drawing the double team, finding Brendan Curry, who winds one past Mike Adler. 5-1 Syracuse late in the first quarter. And in the second, SU picks up right where it left off. Owen Siebold with the dodge and the quick rip from X. 8-4 lead for the Orange of the half. Now man-up situation early in the third. Click, click, boom from Tucker Dordovic. 9-5 lead for SU. That would not be the last we hear from the Oregonian. Landon Clary to Dordovic. Razzle-dazzle finish. Folks, that's the reason why he's on the Tewarton Award watch list. 12-10 Syracuse midway through the fourth. So we've established that Dordovic can shoot, he can fly, he can also pass as well. Quick stick finish from Owen Siebold. Syracuse takes down number 10 Duke 14-10, its first ranked win of the season. So the first of what figures to be many big wins in the Gary Gate era of Syracuse men's lacrosse. But as one chapter in SU athletics begins, another has just closed. Only this is no chapter, rather it's a whole series. Folks, it's crossover season here in Central New York. We got hockey, we got basketball, and even lacrosse action to break down for you tonight. So let's dive right in. Starting down in Chapel Hill, Syracuse men's basketball battled North Carolina in its road finale. This was SU's final chance at a quad one win in the regular season. SU hoping to end a 2-game losing streak down in Chapel Hill and looking for answers for Jesse Edwards, who hasn't played in a couple of games. Cole Swider was certainly an answer. He had a career-high 36 points, the highest tally by an SU player since Tyus Battle recorded 37 back in January of 2018. You saw a 3 right there. He had 7 on the night. Buddy Boeheim getting involved as well, a tough bucket inside to give SU the lead late. And Boeheim working inside again, posting up his defender. Lefty shot, misses. Brahma Sidibe, though, there with the tap-in to put SU on top by 1. Now, North Carolina would have an answer. Down 1, needing to tie it up or take the lead. Caleb Love bottoms, gives North Carolina that lead at 73-71. 7 seconds to go. Now, what does Syracuse have? Joe Girard takes it over the timeline, stops, pops, swish. 73-all with 1 second to go. We're going to overtime. Under 4 minutes to go in the extra session. Caleb Love stays hot, yes sir, with another 3, his 4th of the game. Then RJ Davis pounds one in as well to put the Tar Heels up by 8 points. And the waning stages of the game, booyah from Brady Manick. The Tar Heels would cruise to an 88-79 win. They outscore Syracuse 15-6 in the overtime session. But despite the loss, Coach Boeheim was pleased with his team's resilience throughout the contest.
The effort these guys made out there tonight was monumental. It was a monumental effort against a team that's fighting for its life and to be in the tournament. And they brought it down to the last play. It was an unbelievable effort. And I couldn't be more proud of these guys.
So Syracuse squanders another potential resume building opportunity. SU falls to 0-9 in quad one contest and 15-15 overall with just 1 game left in the regular season. So basketball is winding down, but lacrosse is just getting started in the Salt City. The Syracuse men's lacrosse team is off to a 1-1 start with that lone loss coming to top-ranked Maryland. Gary Gate and company hope to get that sour taste of losing out of their mouths with a win over number 2 Virginia. From the hardwood to the gridiron, because it's spring football season, baby. We got our first look at the 2022 Syracuse squad. SU hosted its annual orange and blue spring game in the Dome this evening. And Dino Babers and company, they may have found their next star quarterback. Now let's stay with football, but move over to lacrosse. I know that doesn't make much sense, but the SU men's team was throttled by a football score against Notre Dame. If you're an SU fan, close your eyes, please. Jake Taylor highlight reel, let's roll it. 2 goals in the first quarter, part of what was a 12-0 lead for Notre Dame. Now, Brendan Curry would finally get Syracuse on the board to make it 12-1, but that's about as good as it would get. The other half of the dynamic duo with Tucker Dordovic, he finally got involved as well. 13-2 Golden Domers, still well in front after that score. Now, We haven't heard from Jake Taylor in a minute. Oh, he's back. Around the world finish. Are you kidding me with that? Must have had some Lucky Charms for breakfast or something. Nothing going right for Syracuse. Notre Dame scores in transition with Pat Cavanaugh. Notre Dame up 17-3 early on in the third. Syracuse just trying to keep this somewhat respectable. Mikey Berkman slots a dime into the mesh of Owen Siebold for a quick stick score. Lone point on the day for the senior attackman. Jacob Buttermore added a late tally as well. His first goal of the season, but just empty calories in what was a feast for Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish hand the Orange their worst loss in 45 years. 22-6, the final score from South Bend. Sheesh, it'd be a shame if we ended on such a low note. I mean, you guys know we wouldn't do that to you, though. So how about some opening day baseball for the Mets? Syracuse kicked off its 2022 campaign this afternoon against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders.
John, Syracuse converted its three-pointers at a 46% rate. Why do you think the Orange were so successful from downtown tonight?
Well, really, Josh, it was Cole Swider that was successful. 5 for 8 from beyond the arc, also set an ACC season high with 21 points. So he kind of fueled the spark for Syracuse offensively in that respect. And lately the discussion has been, Cole Swider's finding his spots. He's getting to where he's comfortable and he's hitting, whether it be from the elbow or most recently from beyond the arc. I mean, the guy just hits everything from the perimeter. And tonight, Boston College left him more open than a 24-hour stop and shop, and you just can't do that against one of the most dangerous shooters in the ACC.
And John, SU was able to face some adversity tonight with Jesse Edwards fouling out in just 13 minutes. How do you think the offense changed tonight when he wasn't in the game?
Well, Syracuse doesn't really have that pick and roll action. I was in the Dome to watch SU take on Louisville recently, and the facilitation that Jesse Edwards has and the role that he plays in this offense is so critical, and that was on full display tonight. Look, Frank Anselm's a good player. He brings his own tools to the construction site. He's a scrappy player, and he likes to dunk the ball, and he's aggressive in the paint, but he just doesn't have the playmaking ability that Jesse Edwards has, so it looks like it might be Anselm going forward. We're going to have to monitor the Jesse Edwards situation. Again, he only played 13 minutes this evening, so Anselm played 23. He had 5 points and 6 boards in his time on the floor.
On the ice, the regular season is winding down for the Crunch. Syracuse is fighting for one of 23 spots in the AHL playoffs, so it's safe to say that every game down the stretch is pretty critical. The Crunch set its sights on picking up some major points today against Springfield. Ben Grew on the bench. He's certainly no stranger to a playoff race. In the closing stages of the second period, Riley Nash cuts the 2-0 deficit in half with a backhand finish on the forecheck. Now let's go to the third. Crunch down 3-2. And this is just a textbook 2-on-2 right here for Anthony Richard, who gets the drop pass and beats the Springfield netminder with a laser. Now 5 minutes later, the Crunch looking for their first lead of the game. Same spot, same result. This time it's Gage Gonsalves who smashes the cookie jar in the top shelf. The Crunch would win 5-3 and extend its point streak to 4 games. Now, why did I say this might be the best sports weekend of the year? Well, because baseball is back, but not just yet for the Syracuse Mets. Today's game between the Mets and Rail Riders was postponed due to inclement weather. The contest will be made up as part of a doubleheader on June 8th. Now, the weather didn't stop the major leagues from continuing its opening weekend, and if you're a Mets fan, you have to be loving life right now. Pete Alonso says, "Get that out of here," with the bases loaded in the 5th inning. His first career grand slam. Oh, he knew it too. I mean, look at this bat flip. Bat flip for the ages. That's some swagger right there. So the offense was clicking, and the pitching switch was flipped on the entire night. First start of the season for Chris Bassett, and this guy brought his stuff. 3 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts in 6 innings of work as the Mets dominate the Nationals 5-0, their 3rd consecutive win to open the season. Now let's bring it back to the Big Apple, where Aaron Judge and the Yankees are also seeking their 3rd straight victory. 3-3, bases empty, top of the 6th. First pitch of the inning, Bobby Dahlbeck wastes no time. Solo jack to right field to put the Red Sox up 4-3. He had 25 homers 1 year ago, and he's off to a hot start in his 3rd season in the MLB. The score would remain 4-3 heading into the bottom of the 9th. Last chance for the Bronx Bombers. Aaron Judge, full count, swing and a miss, Eni. Giancarlo Stanton, a 1-2 hole. Jake Diekman goes back to the heater, Miney. 1-2, 2 outs. Can Diekman strike out the side? Mo. Diekman puts 3 up and 3 down, picks up his first save of the season, and the Red Sox win 4-3, handing the Yankees their first loss of the year. So some top 4 lax action, a Crunch playoff run, baseball is back, and the Masters are happening. So there's that. Not much drama on the leaderboard heading into today's final round, but let me tell you, things got pretty interesting down in Augusta as the day went on. The world's #1 golfer, Scottie Scheffler, at the top of the leaderboard at 9 under heading into the final round. Now, his 3-stroke lead dissolved to 1 after the opening 2 holes, but he recovers from a bad drive with a chip-in birdie on the 3rd hole. Uh-oh, I think he got his swagger back. Now, Cameron Smith trying to keep pace with Scheffler, down 3 strokes, but this shot would seal the deal. From the tee box to the ocean, the Australian triple bogeys on 12 and pushes Scheffler's lead back to 6. So Smith trending down. Rory McIlroy, though, trending up. Entered the day even par, ends the round at 7 under, punctuated with a, wait for it, this isn't going in, right? I mean, there's no way. Around the bend and in. The birdie chip good from the sand on the 18th hole. McIlroy earned a 2nd place finish with a terrific final 18, his 7th top 10 placement at Augusta. But Scheffler held off McIlroy and everybody else. You know how many strokes he was up? He tapped in for double bogey on the 18th and still won by 3. So we just ran through all the supporting evidence to make the case for this weekend as the best sports weekend of the year. Coincidentally, it may have also been the best weather weekend we've had in 2022. After the break, Christian de Guzman will tell you what to expect for weather this upcoming week. Spoiler alert, time to break out the picnic baskets. So Kayla Trainer Company look poised for a championship run later in the spring, but you don't need to wait for a championship right now if you're a Syracuse sports fan. SU women's hockey defended its home ice and added some more brass to its trophy case in thrilling fashion earlier today. Syracuse squaring off with Mercyhurst in the Kennedy Ice Pavilion. The 2 squads had met 4 times in the regular season, each winning 2 apiece. Victoria Klimek slides it across to Abby Malotny for the game's first goal. 4th goal of the tournament for Abby Malotny, having an incredible postseason campaign. Then Sarah Marchand with the pitching wedge finish. I don't know how much golf they play up in Ontario, but she certainly looks like she has quite the short game. Now let's move up to the major leagues, where the Mets rounded out a 3-game series against the Diamondbacks. Second start of the season for David Peterson. The 26-year-old allowed 4 hits, struck out 4 batters, and walked 2 in 4 1/3 innings of work. Mets up 3-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Pete Alonso pads the lead with a 2-run shot to left center. 3rd homer of the season for the designated hitter. New York wins 5-0 over Arizona. Now over to the Big Apple, where the Yankees were battling with the Orioles. Nestor Cortez on the mound for his 2nd start of the season, and he was cooking. 12 strikeouts in 5 innings of action. That's more than the right he had in any game last year. Chad Green relieved Cortez in the 6th, fly ball to left center, and Tim Locastro goes airborne to reel in the fly ball. Unbelievable from a guy touching the diamond for the first time this year. He's already in midseason form. Locastro couldn't do anything about this one, though. Rougned Odor gets Baltimore on the board with a single to center. 2-0 Orioles at that point, and that ended up being the game-winning play. New York's offense as quiet as a tree falling in the middle of the woods. Baltimore takes it 5-0 and the series 2-1. So no postseason for Syracuse men's lacrosse, but the SU women's team has national title aspirations. Penultimate ACC game of the year, and Syracuse not off to a great start. Louisville was up 4-2 until Savannah Schweitzer cut into the deficit. Then Meg Tyrell with the keys to the offense. Nasty split dodge, beats her defender to the rack, and scores to even the game at 4. Now, no Meg Carney in this game for SU, so Tyrell had to be option 1A, and she certainly was. She led all scores with 7 points in this conference clash, and that goal put Syracuse on top 6-5. But the midfielders also chipped in. Jenny Markey down a treadmill to the cage, bounces one past the keeper. Season-high 3 goals in the day for the midfielder, and she sparks the transition game right here. Dink and dunk between Schweitzer and Emily Harris-Chuck. 5 goals on the day for the attacker. She's now just 3 goals shy of passing her head coach Kayla Trainer for the most career goals in Syracuse program history. Syracuse wins a home-away-from-home game at CBA, 23-13 over Louisville. SU is back in the Dome on Tuesday against UAlbany. Speaking of CBA, former purple and gold star Stevie Scott was in action over the weekend in the USFL. The tailback is carrying the rock for the Michigan Panthers, looking to potentially work his way back to the NFL after a short preseason stint with the Saints. Scott in the backfield with Shea Patterson for the Michigan Panthers, USFL opener for the team from Michigan. He takes it off the left tackle here for a gain of 8 yards. Had a lot of touches on the day, really looking impressive. And if the Saints are watching film, they might want this guy back. Scott gets another take up the middle, fights his way to the goal line, and gets there. First professional touchdown for the former Indiana Hoosier. He had 18 carries for 72 yards and a score on the day, but it wasn't enough to lift Michigan over Houston. They lose 17-12 in Birmingham, but you can catch Scott and the Panthers back in action on Friday at 8. So baseball and lacrosse you expected, right? But we even got the pigskin flying in April again. That's awesome. Honestly, with the weather we're having right now, it seems like we should be preparing for some bowl games, but I assure you, it's supposed to be spring, and after the break, Josh Golden will get you set with your 7-day forecast. Now let's go back to the hardwood for some more high school action. Christian Brothers Academy meets Liverpool in the Section 3 Class AA semifinal. Now, CBA led by 4 at the half, but Liverpool's Andreo Ash hits this big 3 in the third quarter to draw Liverpool back in. He had 20 points in the contest, but CBA had Dan Anderson, 26 points in the day, the rebound, and the beautiful touch on the floater. Now, this game would go to overtime, and here's Ash. Not scoring this time, instead he's dishing to a cutting Jacob Works, who slashes and finishes. He had 26 points, leading Liverpool to the 86-81 win at SRC Arena. And now Liverpool gets ready for West Jenny in the Section 3 final next Sunday. But staying on the hardwood, there was some drama in the Big Ten earlier today. Number 10 Wisconsin put the finishing touches on a 77-63 win over Michigan, but U of M head coach Juwan Howard wasn't too pleased with the proceedings. The third-year head man got into a scuffle with Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard in the postgame handshake line, and things got out of hand quickly. Howard escalated the situation by grabbing a member of the Badgers staff, and chaos ensued. In Howard's postgame press conference, he didn't offer a formal apology, and now we await the response from the Big Ten Conference to find out if any punishments will be handed out. Things were a little more relaxed over in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse where the 2022 NBA All-Star Game was going down. It was a homecoming for LeBron James, and he looked pretty comfortable early on. A tomahawk slam early on in the contest to give his team a 5-point lead, but Stephen Curry also helped out. He hits this 3 from Columbus, and he was feeling it early on, this time getting the feed in the corner and splashing it in from Toledo and strumming the air guitar in the spirit of the nearby Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you know what they say, when you're hot, you're hot. Curry trampolines and finishes a tray. How about 10 3-pointers for Steph Curry? He wouldn't be done. Defense would become optional in the third quarter. They weren't even trying at this point. They were just letting Stephen Curry have whatever he wanted. Look, not even covering him in the corner here. He splashes it, knew it was going in before he even shot it, but he needed that confirmation from the crowd just to be sure. And in storybook fashion, of course, LeBron James just had to finish things off. Fade away, Jay. Count that, baby. As Team LeBron cruises to the win over Team Durant, and to nobody's surprise, Stephen Curry was named the NBA All-Star Game's MVP with 16 3-pointers. In the professional ranks, second-seeded Boston held on for dear life in a 115-114 win over 7th-seeded Brooklyn in Game 1. The Nets outscored the Celtics by 10 points in the fourth quarter, but came up just a bit short in the loss. Kyrie Irving led all scorers with 39 points on 6 of 10 shooting from the perimeter. Kevin Durant chipped in 23 points, but he turned the ball over 6 times, which was the most of any player that touched the floor in the TD Garden. So Boston leads the series 1-0. Game 2 is slated for Wednesday at 7.
Here at the Dean Dome,
This is a sight that many of us are used to seeing, a television broadcast featuring Syracuse and North Carolina in Chapel Hill. But imagine if the basketball game looks something like this. Well, the visuals may not be there, but believe me, there's still plenty of entertainment.
Other end, Joe Girard, near lane drive, kick out Swider, far corner 3, that's money!
Girard working over half court, being guarded the length of the floor, his shot, it goes!
So this is what a typical game day looks and sounds like for the guys traveling to call the contest for WAER FM Radio Syracuse. But it's a whole lot more complex than just that. The game day scene looks much different here at 795 Ostrom Avenue. None of these broadcasts would be possible without the tireless work and helping hands of many people behind the scenes. So what does a game day look like for them? Let's go inside and find out.
Last offseason, there was
The production studio is where all the magic happens. Tonight's producer, Calvin Cristoforo, works hand in hand with the game's engineer, Ben Schulman. The experienced button pusher is actually the most powerful man in the building because he controls the ebbs and flows of the airwaves and orchestrates everything just using his fingers. Now, in any broadcasting venture, time is of the essence. When that clock strikes the top of the hour, it's time to hop on the air. But well before the mics even turn on, there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. So, Calvin, how much time does it really take to produce a game?
A lot of time. You got to hear right around 2 hours before the game starts, and then probably 2.5 hour game. So right around 5 hours. That doesn't include making the rundown beforehand, communicating with people on their pieces beforehand.
So that's a behind-the-scenes look at what the behind-the-scenes action looks like during a basketball game at WAER. Experiences like this require countless hours and limitless energy, but offer many benefits both now and for the future. Why do you do this? Spend all this time and all this energy?
It's fun. I do it for fun. I do it for experience as well. It's real-world experience. You get here firsthand at WAER, and it's a lot of fun. Make a lot of good friends this way. It's a good time.
John Eads, NCC News.